welcome to another fantastic episode of the Action Podcast. I lost my voice doing that, goodness sakes. Good start. Welcome to episode 35, and we've got a big one today, my friends. We have the one and only Star Wars. Yes.
A New Hope.
A New Hope, the original. That started it all. That started this gangster shit. And yeah, we're going to give love to that. And so with me is, of course, my brother, Peter Escarcega. And
hello, Garth.
That's right. And also with us is Drew to my bottom left. And Drew, if you have not seen him, was in our Jaws podcast. And then we also have my good buddy Lawrence Morris, who was also in our Indiana Jones podcast. If you have not seen that, check him out there. Was also in our two-part series of both Young Guns 1 and 2, which was a fantastic one because Young Guns is one of my favorite films. So definitely.
It was great because we did that in anticipation of Young Guns 3 because they announced that it was going to come out, and yet it's never come out.
No, and I think it's pushed. Quick update. It's got pushed to 2023, I think. So
right.
No idea. There's not a lot of news on it.
Fantastic.
So yeah. So anyway, so now we have a poorly timed podcast.
Yes.
Luckily, it's still great. But yeah, so Star Wars, of course, was written in came out in 1977 and was directed by George Lucas, who at that time his only major film was American Graffiti. And if you haven't checked that out, please do. That's kind of like a 1950s high school movie, but that's really what kind of put George Lucas on the map on the commercial level. He had another small film called THX 1138, which is where THX sound was came from. But George Lucas also wrote this one, so he wrote and directed this first one. And of course, this stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, who all three of them were pretty unknown at that time. So, I'm not going to necessarily go very deep into what this movie's about. Hopefully, you kind of have a clue on what it is. But I did love this little synopsis of it. And it's Luke Skywalker joins forces with a Jedi Knight, a cocky pilot, a Wookiee, and two droids to save the galaxy from the Empire's world-destroying battle station, while also attempting to rescue Princess Leia from the mysterious Darth Vader. And I thought it's actually a pretty good description of it. You can also kind of see in the middle of that, like, it's kind of a jumbled, like, it's this story and it's also that story. Like, typically the rescue attempt is like the final scene. And in this film, it's almost like they have like two climaxes in a sense. I always thought that was unique about this movie. But why are we watching this film? Well, kind of a no-brainer. This is arguably one of the greatest franchises of all time, if not the greatest for some people. Recently, two series came out on Disney Plus. Andor, which is actually still currently going on episode 5 at the time of this recording. That literally came out today. And then also Obi-Wan Kenobi, which occurs right before Rogue One. Right before Rogue One and after Revenge of the Sith. So right in that time period, between the 10 years between Revenge and the Sith. Is it 10 years? Something like that. But yeah, obviously for me, this is the first movie I actually remember going to. Well, not this original Star Wars. I wasn't born yet. But Return of the Jedi was the first film I remember ever seeing as a child. Like literally like one of my first memories as a 3-year-old. I remember going to KB Toys with my parents. And they're like, before you go see the movie, you get to pick a toy. And of all the cool Star Wars toys, I picked the Empire, the Emperor's Red Guard, who has no lines, doesn't really do anything. He just stands
there for 2 seconds.
For 2 seconds, but he looked cool, and that's what 3-year-old Paul was attracted to. So that was my first quote unquote toy that I purchased, or not, I didn't purchase, but I picked on my own, and so that's literally my first memory. Again, grew up Star Wars, love it, and So enough about my opinion here. Pete Dog, we'll start with you since you're on my top left. What is your experience with Star Wars, and what is ultimately this means to you?
Yeah, Star Wars came out literally days after I was born, so you're welcome. I was born, and I brought with me one of the greatest franchises of all time. I don't recall when I first saw it, but I know that when I first did, it changed everything for me, because this was the first sort of movie where you not only could watch it all the time, but you can go and buy stuff that is associated with that movie. So, I mean, toys and blankets and cups and, I mean, anything you can think of, there was Star Wars slapped on it.
I know for sure I had the lunchbox.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So it just became a way of life. It was always incorporated in everything that you did. It was always a topic of conversation on some level with people who were your friends or, you know, strangers. I mean, you hear somebody make a comment, you're like, boom, he's a Star Wars fan. And then you just start talking, and then they find you creepy, and then you have to walk away dejected. Either way, doesn't matter. But it was one of those great films that, you know, you appreciate more and more every time you watch it, because there's always something else that you can kind of get from it when you're rewatching it. And in fact, I mean, I think I learned something else. I can't remember what it was because I have no memory. But when I was watching it today before this podcast, I was like, oh, I never noticed that before. But the story's great, and the characters are really well developed. The action and the special effects at the time were revolutionary. Even if they look kind of cheesy now, I mean, you can just appreciate what it meant to actually put that on screen. And yeah, this was a revolution in my life.
Yeah, and the special edition, I don't know how much you guys notice this, but, you know, obviously the older version doesn't exist anymore, and only the special edition exists now. But, I mean, I definitely remember watching this original one, like, you know, repeat, and this one struggled so much compared to Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Like, and they're only 3 years apart, and, you know, 6 years from Return of the Jedi. And you can definitely tell the difference, right, in graphics and the color, everything. But with the special edition, it looks so much better. It doesn't really look like any other 70s film. I mean, I'll give Lucas credit. Like, he did a good job. They spent, what was it, $10 million on the special edition, upgrading it, and again, redoing the color, all that good stuff. So, yeah, it definitely shows. And I definitely noticed again last night how
I took some of that franchise money and look, let's just redo it.
Oh well, they released it in theaters again. I think it made the money back easily. And again, like, you're selling at that time, they're selling DVDs, and then you're selling Blu-rays. And I mean, yeah, this franchise is not hurting on money, Pete. So we don't have to worry about them spending.
It's like owning a basketball team. Like, it just doesn't matter. You're going to make money at the end of the day, either way. I mean, having Lucas money.
Yeah. Well, he made $4 billion from the Disney Corporation. So I think he's okay now.
I think he's doing all right. Hopefully things pick up for him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Drew, you're next. What is your thoughts?
I feel like it's a pretty similar story to kind of what you guys are talking about. We're all of a similar age, I think. And Star Wars came out a couple years before I was born. Didn't see it till I was, you know, a little bit older, but also saw it very early. It's probably the film that I can think I remember seeing it sort of at the youngest age, you know, outside of cartoons. And it's one of those ones that we just watched on loop. Like, the version we had was not store-bought. We like taped it off of
FBI,
whatever. And like, I still remember like where the commercial breaks came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Jawa, like doing this thing with the spear and like cut to commercial. So like, muscle memory still remembers all those things from when I was a kid. But yeah, similarly,
you must enjoy like the TNT version a lot still.
Totally. So we've upgraded now. I agree about the remastered, although I'm not an enormous fan of like the added CGI stuff that they did.
No, like
I do like the recolorization.
The stormtrooper on the animal that doesn't know how to walk, and it's just like,
totally.
Hey, let's figure out how to make this shot harder.
They didn't do it. They didn't even do it well. So that part was weird. Like, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb.
The new song that they put in there was just dumb.
Yeah, that was bad.
So stupid.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, it was my it was my childhood. This and Back to the Future. There's not two more important movies to me, to my, you know, childhood and being a kid. And all the things that you guys said, I don't, you know, necessarily need to be the dead horse here, but so influential, so important, changed the genre, sort of took us into a whole new realm of what was possible in terms of special effects. Rewatching it for this, I still think the special effects are good. Like, I actually think they mostly hold up. They're not, some of the new stuff that we see that's computer generated and all of that. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. The sets are amazing. The costumes are amazing. I think the special effects are pretty great for the time. And even still, I don't know whether it's just because it has such a special place in my heart, but I don't even notice that it's dated. To me, it's Star Wars. It's unquestioned. It is what it is.
Yep. For sure. Lawrence, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. We're all, like I said, we're all about the same age. I'm 44, so I grew up on Star Wars. Yeah. And I think what makes it even more special today is that, a lot of these movies I watch with my kids now, right? I mean, it's kind of like I get to relive my childhood of watching these movies and getting to know, and then obviously the new stuff that's come along with the Disney Plus. It really has kind of come full circle for me because it's like childhood. I mean, does everyone remember like you get the old wrapping paper thing and you're playing lightsabers with your friends? I mean, that was kind of like that was my childhood. And
everything was a lightsaber, dude. You grab
everything was a lightsaber. I mean, Luke Skywalker was the ultimate good guy and Han Solo was the ultimate cool guy. It was just it was to me like the most like I said, epic kind of franchise that is really like, I mean, 50 years from now, we could still be watching Star Wars and it'll still hold up. I think it's just, I just was rewatching some of it earlier and I think it still holds up. I don't think the graphics look that bad, even compared to what we have today, obviously knowing what they had to use back then and the miniatures and all these other things. It was just, man, it was like mind blowing. Cause I remember as a kid going to Disneyland to go on Star Tours thinking like, wait, are we really going to be flying in space? Cause I was like, how did they do that? The graphics were too good. I was like, are they really in space? Did they really create spaceships? I just remember as a kid, like it blew my mind because I just didn't know how that could be done and look like real spaceships and real like flying through space and so, but it's man, it holds up. It holds up. I would say like all time with all the great franchises as far as movies are concerned for me.
Yeah, I mean when you're talking about cinematic history as a whole, and you're like the history of movies, obviously a lot of film people will say Citizen Kane, but I think if you ask any real movie watcher, they're gonna say Star Wars. And what movie had the most impact? And it's Star Wars. And what movie continues to this day to make money, to generate, get watched over and over and over again? I actually agree with 1,000% with the 50 years from now it's still gonna do all that, because that's what's so brilliant about this is it created a new world, and no cinematic experience at that time created another universe, created another experience for everyone to continue to live that keeps going on and on. George Lucas no longer is in charge of this property. It's now new people, and it continues to go on and on.
Thank God.
They created the new rides, at Disneyland. Everybody's excited about it. Generates more money. And I haven't been there yet, but everybody tells me it's the most amazing thing. And this is just something that's just going to, again, this year alone, there's 2 Disney Plus series, and 3, because in January was Boba Fett, and The Mandalorian before that, crushing it. And so like this property is still at a meteoric rise, and it's not dying, and this is not going anywhere. And so
I think that's a testament to this film specifically. Like we've singled out this film out of all of them to kind of talk about. I think that's the significance of this film. Started like this, and the teams that were involved with Star Wars and with this franchise were able to create so many layers and fingers that just go off and create new stories and new worlds and new characters that still resonate with us. I mean, every one of them you can find value in all of them, even the shitty ones. You can find some value
for sure
in even the bad ones. It just continues to grow and grow, and I think that's a testament to this film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I remember as a kid, I was in preschool, and again, you want to talk about like how you bond as a kid. And one of my friends I'm still friends with today, Gabe Johnson, Pete, you probably remember him, but he had this kind of like floppy head, the floppy bowl cut, And so, I looked at him right away. And I was like, "You're going to be my Luke Skywalker. I'll be your Han Solo." You know what I mean? And again, you're talking like I'm 6 years old, and because he looked like Luke Skywalker, we instantly became friends, and we're playing at on the jungle gym and all that good stuff. Star Wars because he looked like Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? Again, that's the power of this movie.
Yeah, I remember that time. I had to be Princess Leia every time. I don't understand.
Because he always wore those buns. Yeah,
I always had these buns on my head.
In the gold bikini.
Yeah. That looks so good in that gold bikini.
Yeah. Cracking it. Awesome. Well, so those aren't familiar, how we ultimately do this podcast is Pete is competing with Drew and Lawrence, and the winner gets to choose our next movie. And so I give a point for each category that we have. Our first category for today is background. And this is going to be an interesting one because, Lawrence went outside the box. Some people went, a Star Wars image, but Lawrence said, "No, guys, I'm showing you my home because this is where I watch Star Wars.
It's my couch."
Yeah. So, that's very interesting. But I'm going to give
technical difficulties got the better of me on that one.
No. You don't follow his rules. Just go with that.
I'm going to go. I would give me the point because I love my picture the most. But I'm going to give Pete Dog the point on background, and then explanation, I'm going to give Lawrence the point on that one.
I think Drew should get a point for that shirt. He's the only one that wore.
I'm wearing a shirt, Paul, and I don't get.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice.
Tattooing summer camp, man.
All right, you know what, Drew? You get a costume point. You get the costume point. So we're going to start this off. Everybody gets a point.
I was going to hang my kids' Star Wars T-shirts up here, but
that would have helped.
That would have helped. Yeah, I thought about it too late.
That's an old school background.
Didn't have to figure out those pesky JPEGs. Then he could have done that.
This couch was in the Millennium Falcon, I believe.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Might have been. Who knows?
Awesome. So some fun facts here. I found this mind blowing. So I actually never looked this up, but the budget of Star Wars. Does anybody that has not looked at the budget? Does anybody ever know what the budget is or no?
I know exactly what it is.
Does anybody not know what the budget is?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Lawrence, I'll offer a point to this one. Can you guess what the budget? Can you guess what the budget?
Because I read the script, I don't get a point.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go with. I'm not looking it up on my computer. The original Star Wars movie, like
the original Star Wars movie budget. Yeah.
Oh wow.
You have to get it within 1 million. You have to get it within 1 million, or Pete gets the point.
So we're talking 1977. 30 million. 30 million.
30 million.
Let's go 30 million. That seems like a big number now that I'm thinking about it. That's saying it out loud. That's a lot of money for 1977.
Pete, don't give it away. Drew's got a guess. Pete, Drew,
I will say $15 million.
15. So we're gonna go Price is Right rules. So unfortunately, it is 11 million, which means both of you are over. Which means Pete Dog, because he read the script, he will get the extra point on that one. So yeah, 11 million, guys. They made this for 11 million. Now,
in fairness, if we got in the script more than 4 minutes ago,
that's true. That's true.
I was reading the script at baseball practice. Just saying.
I was working on Lawrence's background. That's what took so long to get the script. So, things happen. But yeah, it's crazy how much only for 11 million. I mean, how much? I don't know the number, but how much do you think this? Well, he made 4 billion. So I guess for 11 million, they made 4 billion, right? I guess that's a rough estimate of numbers. So, I mean, that's just insane number. Return of
not a math guy, but that's a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a bad investment.
This movie grossed over 775 million worldwide, 460 million domestic. Now, the crazy part is, so Drew, you were on the last podcast. So Jaws was the first movie to cross 100 million. This is the second movie to cross 100 million, but obviously this is the first movie to gross over 300 million. So it did 3 times what a movie has ever done before.
And you guys know what Lucas was paid for this, right? They gave him the option. It was like $250,000 or something,
or like the rights
to all the merchandising.
Not
he took the rights. There you go. And he gambled on himself and one bigger than anyone ever.
Yeah. Right? He's like, we're doing lunch boxes, we're doing stocks, we're doing stockings,
merchandising.
And you get a lunchbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the first movie to also cross 500 million worldwide in its initial release, which is, again, insane. On the review side, sometimes you're skeptical with these films on how well they do, with people watching it in 1977. But this has an 8.6 IMDb rating, which is very good.
Very good.
A 90 Metascore. So that's pretty high.
Massive.
Our boy Roger Ebert gave this a 100. So Roger Ebert nailed this one.
Smart man.
Recently with the latest reviews, like his scores have actually been good. The early reviews that we've done, his scores have all been bad. So I'm starting to like him again.
Yeah, he's got an ups and downs. He's bad on comedies, that's for sure. Like, don't trust Roger Ebert with comedies. If I were asked to say with certainty which movies would still be widely known a century or two from now, I would say 2001, The Wizard of Oz, Keaton and Chaplin, Astaire and Rogers, and probably Casablanca and Star Wars for sure. So, interesting list there that he says is Astaire and Rogers. I don't know how popular they are with the kids these days, but
it's such a douchey quote in a way, because he names stuff that only like 1 out of 1 million people know.
Wizard of Oz.
He wants to sound all cool, like he knows shit.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz would be the only one I would say. I don't even know if Casablanca a lot of people have seen. I would throw Wizard of Oz as the only one on that one, but I think
Casablanca is an all-timer. Come on,
it is. But how many kids
are famous for that one line?
Yeah.
Well, not even kids. Like nobody. Yeah, people have stopped watching old movies. It's crazy.
Yeah,
kids learned the word "damn" because of that movie, and that's it. Just because of the quote. Nobody knows that movie.
Yeah. Anyways, back on it. On Variety, they gave it also 100. A magnificent film. George Lucas set out to make the biggest possible adventure fantasy out of his memories of serials and older action epics, and he succeeded brilliantly. So yeah, that's I think spot on. And then the worst one was from Vulture, John Simon. Let's give it up for John Simon here. He gave it a 30, and he said, "Strip Star Wars." I love this comment. "Strip Star Wars of its often striking images and its highfalutin scientific jargon, and you get a story, characters, and dialogue of overwhelming banality, even without a future cast to them. Human beings, anthropoids, and robots. You could probably find them all more or less like that in downtown Los Angeles today. Certainly the mentality and values of the movie can be duplicated in third-rate non-science of any place or period." John, what are you watching, buddy? What are you watching? John sounds like he probably just recently got divorced, then had to go through Star Wars.
Yeah, but like to make a comment like you're going to take out like the best parts of the movie and say, well, if you take out all of that,
it's not.
You're left with nothing.
Yeah,
it's like when I used to say, if Shaq would only hit his free throws, it's like, well, he would be the
take
best.
away Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, the Patriots are nothing.
Yeah,
they wouldn't win any of the Super Bowls.
You take away Michael Jordan, the Bulls are nothing. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from the fact that the team was dominant,
Interesting. All right, so moving to our next category.
What an idiot.
Yeah, seriously. That's why I like reading those, because they're fun, and I love hating on these guys that just have absolutely no clue. So our first
70s, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Makes me mad.
Our first list today, we decided to rank the Star Wars. And everybody here, ultimately, we're going to debate our top 3, but everyone has a top 10. So I started with Pete on the first one. So Drew, you're going to go next. Please.
Which number are we starting with?
Oh yeah. So everybody just give their number 1, and then we'll debate the number 1. That's what we talked about, Pete, right?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to try that out. We're going to try this out, something different. So Drew,
all right,
give us your number 1.
My number 1, you will be shocked, is Episode 4, A New Hope. Wow. And it is because there are no the rest without this movie. So for me, do I think it's the singular best film? Maybe not, but it's the most important film. It started everything. It's the one I've watched the most times. It's the one we're talking about today. There are no 10 other films without this one. So for me, I don't know how you could argue that there is a more important or better one than A New Hope.
Well, I think that's what everyone here is here to do. So I think we're gonna attempt at that.
Let's go.
Lawrence, what is your number 1 Star Wars film?
I am in episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. It's to me like, I think it to me introduces like all the main players of the Star Wars universe in general. I mean, you get your Yoda in there. I think Emperor
Palpatine, yeah.
Palpatine's in there, like kind of, sort of.
A quick second.
Yeah, but I just and to me it felt like a real like adventure. You got to see more of the universe. You know, you're at Hoth, and then you go to all these different places and Dagobah, all these. You know, it just, and then obviously the story itself, it's just so much more like intriguing. With, you know, now we find out Luke Skywalker's father is Darth Vader, and
spoiler, guys, if you haven't seen.
Sorry,
yeah,
it's been 40 years, but you know what I mean. Just kind of, I just really felt like it was just it had a little bit of everything, and it didn't really have it happen. Obviously, didn't end well, right? I mean, it kind of left you on that cliffhanger, and I remember as a kid, like thinking like, wait, the movie's ending? Like I remember like thinking like the movie's done, and the bad guys essentially won, you know, and you're just kind of like, that was the first real like, oh my god, like how is this gonna end? So
the true that
was my favorite. I mean, it was just the story itself, and like I said, you get to really see more characters, kind of more expanding of the universe because you're going to different places and Cloud City, all these other places. So that's my number one.
Pete Dog, what do you got?
I agree with Lawrence. Empire is the best Star Wars of all time, because it ends on a down note. I don't know how many sequels and ultimately trilogies and etc. were done before Star Wars, but I think it sort of set the bar where in a trilogy, you know, there's a structure to telling a story within a movie, within the confines of a movie. But Star Wars does it throughout a trilogy. So, you know, by the end of Empires, it's almost like your all is lost moment, and then Return of the Jedi is like that final act in this one big giant story. And like Lauren said, you get introduced to a lot of iconic characters. You got Yoda, you got Lando, finally, you got the Cloud City, you got all these great new settings. But I think the story really plays out really amazing, and Hoth was gorgeous. Empires is the best.
Yeah, and with Lando Calrissian, of course, you're getting Colt 45 too, which is an amazing drink. So okay, so I've got one that no one else had. My number one, and I take away absolutely significance at all, and I just purely as a pure movie, one movie by itself. For me, it's Rogue One. I think when it comes to messaging and story and just film, Rogue One to me combines the cinematography, the different worlds like you're talking about, how it ties in. You know, it's such a weird place because it's got to tie into two kind of different movies, you know, which is harder, I think, to do. But, you know, I know the movie had a lot of problems, but you know, I know our boy Mark Mead agrees with me, and Rogue One I just think is such a brilliant film, and it just works so well. And the ending of it, I just remember the feeling that I had. I was just like, holy crap, you know, and it kind of really set that stage for The Mandalorian and some of these other, you know, newer type of films where it
was the first one after the last trilogy. No.
It was before the trilogy.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was between the last trilogy. It was.
Yeah. It was after Force Awakens and before Last Jedi.
And it was before Solo.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So it would have been the 8th film in the Star Wars. So.
I know you love that movie, but the number one, I don't know.
Yeah, because I could, especially now, like if I just want to watch something Star Wars, but I don't want to watch all fucking 9 movies, I can just watch Rogue One and I'm so good. and it's like I'm
can't start at number
satisfied.
7. I have to start at number 1.
Yeah, it's like you watch any other one, like you can't just pick up and watch Empire Strikes Back. You know what I
Sure
mean?
you can. You've seen them a million times. It's not like
I think I would actually go with Drew on this one, and I'll give Drew the point on this one. If there's another film where you
Let's
can
go.
just pick up by itself, it's Star Wars, because you can watch the first Star Wars and you don't have to necessarily watch all 11 films. But I've never just watched Empire Strikes Back by itself. Now I can watch Return of the Jedi by itself because that's kind of like the closing, and I can watch Revenge of the Sith by itself because it's the closing.
You just totally just said you can't watch any of them, and you just rattled off like 3 of them that you can watch.
I'm saying you can get away with it. I don't prefer doing that, but I'm saying like Rogue One. I watch it
out of order
3 or 4 times a year.
With Return of the Jedi, yeah, and you kind of start with Rogue One if you wanted to. You know what you can probably start with?
You know what you can start with? No point on this category. That's what you can start with.
It just doesn't make any sense. So silly.
You know what does make sense, Pete? No points for you. That's what makes sense.
I like Rogue One.
He's the point Nazi.
All right, so we'll start with number 2 pick. So Drew, you started first on that one. Okay, so Lawrence, give us your number 2 pick. So, by the way, I'll rank each one. We're just giving points away like crazy.
Let's just throw them out.
Just throw points out there. Okay, well, my number 2 is the original, A New Hope. Mm-hmm. Simply, a lot of stuff that you guys already said. I mean, it's the one that starts it all. It is a standalone movie. You could watch that movie and the franchise can end there at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
with the medal ceremony and everything.
Where Chewbacca doesn't get a medal, apparently.
Chewbacca doesn't get a medal, but yeah, it to me, because to me, it's just one of those like good conquering evil, underdog winner. You know, it kind of encapsulates.
You said it right, person.
Encapsulates
everything that, you know, all the elements of a good fun movie. You know, like I said, the good versus evil, obviously dark versus light side, and it starts the whole thing, like you guys have been saying. It really opens up a whole new world of like how movies are done.
Yeah.
Because which was really cool is that how they, you know, they didn't kill off Darth Vader right at the end. Like he was the big bad and they let him get away, right? Like, I mean, so it obviously set up for the rest of the franchise, but I just think, to me, it just really, you know, like you said, it just starts the whole thing. It's really hard to kind of like go from there. It's my childhood. It's everything it's the toys. It's everything that comes with the original Star Wars that we all love. And, you know, it's, you know, story wise, I do like Empire, but I mean, the OG is always going to be, you know, near and dear.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete Dog, what do you got?
So far, me and Lawrence are hand in hand. New Hope was number 2. I couldn't put in number 1 just because of how Empire's just resonates with me more. Yeah. But it's the one that started everything. You know, you can't fault Drew for making it number 1, and that's absolutely appropriate. But what you can do is put Rogue One number 1. Like, you just can't do it.
Yeah, we also know who's not getting a point for this round as well.
For every reason that Lawrence said, and everything that we've talked about so far about the significance of this movie, not only in our lives personally, but for what it did to cinema. And you just loved every character. You know, it's one of them. Like, later on when we try to, what are we going to change out of this film? That was really tough. It's tough to kind of figure out what I would change in this film.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and to both your points too, like you know, my favorite writing book is Anatomy of a Story by John Truby, and I mean, this book is mentioned, or this movie is mentioned so many times in the book because of how well the story structures. Now, it doesn't.
Also, in Save the Cat, I mean, most writers of how to write a story, they reference this movie a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Drew, what do you got?
We just flip-flopped, you know, with these guys. So The Empire Strikes Back, it probably, to what they said about the film itself, is amazing in terms of story. I think a real step up in terms of the special effects, even though I love the special effects in episode 4 in Empire. You know, Cloud City, we talked about everything going on in Hoth. Really good. Thought that there couldn't be a cooler character than Han Solo, and then Lando Calrissian it shows up and he's amazing. So Empire and all the things you guys talked about, how it ends on that unbelievable, like, wait, what? Like you said, the bad guys win. It's setting up the next phase of the trilogy. It's really just it's a great film from start to finish.
Sure.
So yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, and an odd note, my only thing I don't really like about Empire Strikes Back is I didn't love Cloud City. I don't know what it is about it.
I love Cloud City.
I love Cloud City as a kid.
I don't know why. It never did anything for me. Again, just nitpick type of thing. I have no real good reason why, but it just, I'm just going natural instinct. It just, Cloud City never did anything for me. So maybe that's why like Empire Strikes Back is not the highest on my list. But I did love Hoth. I love the asteroids. Dagobah was a little rough just because swampy stuff is always kind of rough, and I think for me, like, especially Neverending Story, like Atreyu, that's where Atreyu and what's the horse's name, Pete?
Artax.
Artax dies in the swamp. So, I always struggle with swamps, but yeah.
Yoda's like hut cave was awesome though.
Yeah. But yeah.
There was just so much information in Empire Strikes Back that just really just elevated
for sure
the original Star Wars, and I think that's why it resonates with me so much.
Yeah, so my number two, I'm just completely different than everyone, but my number two is Return of the Jedi, and I always love Return of the Jedi. Used to be my number one until Rogue One, but I always loved the Ewoks. And I loved the three battles, cutting from the one battle to the next battle to the next battle. Like, I thought that was, and that became like the style on how to do like these greater type of finales.
The shield is out.
Yeah, but I was just so compelled by the ending of Return of the Jedi, and just again you feel all the feels, like when Luke Skywalker's up in the Death Star, and you really think all is lost, and then the Ewoks come save the day, and it's just I love Return of the Jedi, and I think to me it always combined, which is why I loved J.J. Abrams with Force Awakens. It went back to the Return of the Jedi, where it's like this solid combination of great visuals combined with models and practicals, and it Return of the Jedi's looked the best out of the originals, and Force Awakens really went back to that formula, and I think that's what made it super successful. So, point-wise, I'm going to give this one to Lawrence. I just liked his explanation the best. So we have it's two all everybody, 2-2-2. And then last one, just because I think this might be the most different one for everybody, and then we'll just rail off the rest of our list. But number three. What is your number three? So we start with Lawrence. So Pete, you're going to start on this one. What is your number three best?
Number three, I went Rogue One on number three because I do agree that it is a really, really great movie. Visually, I think it was a one-off that really stands alone, but also encompasses the entire universe of the Star Wars world, and I thought it was acted beautifully. Rogue One for me is number three.
Awesome. Drew, what do you got?
Return of the Jedi. I went the three originals, my top three in order. Similar to you, Paul, I would say at certain points in my childhood, Return of the Jedi was my favorite. Ewoks, Endor, like all awesome stuff. Kind of, the end of the trilogy. The opening scene with Jabba and everything there, that opening bit of the movie is amazing and scary and fun. And Luke looks like 25 years older all of a sudden.
Yeah, he looks like a man. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, like in real life, he got in an accident, right?
Yeah.
Oh, was that? Oh, okay.
And he got a
facial reconstruction.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wow. Point
wow.
for
Pete. All right. Well, he definitely looked different. So, but he just looked dark and sinister, and he's in
knowledge on you guys
in his black robe when he shows up for the reckoning with Jabba and everything. So, great. I love Return of the Jedi.
Awesome. Lawrence, what do you got?
Return of the Jedi. I was actually debating on that one, but it is Return of the Jedi. I don't want to reveal my number 4, 5, and 6, but Return of the Jedi is the one. I mean, I'm a purist when it comes, I guess, to Star Wars as far as some of the OG ones. Like that. I think you really see the special effects really pick up compared. You look at the Star Wars, the spaceship battles in Star Wars, the original, and then Return of the Jedi. It's like night and day. And then, I mean, you think it's only 6 years later with whatever technology they were able to kind of put together in that 6 years. It just looks like 10 times better. It's like and like you said, those battle scenes where they do cut back and forth, I totally feel you on that, because you kind of like, it's like this battle's going on over here, and while this is happening, this is going on, and you kind of see how it all plays out all at one. It's like, get the shield down, and then once the shield's down, we can do this. And it's kind of that like next step. It almost kind of feels like you're playing a video game watching the movie, because like that last scene, because you have to kind of get through the different levels and the different bosses, so to speak, to kind of get through it all. But and just like it concludes it, man. It's the scene with the Ewoks and the partying at the end was like, it really felt good. It felt like a real good, like, good time. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone's there. I don't know how they all got there so fast, and they're partying and they knew exactly where to go, but it was a great way to end it. The Force Ghost thing was kind of whatever, but I did like the how it ends, and it puts that cherry on top of like the whole trilogy. It's like we saw Luke, this farmer kid from Tatooine, become this Jedi Knight. Now he's like, I don't know if he was considered a Jedi master at that point, but he was a Jedi Knight for sure. Like he knew what he was doing. He wasn't like a rookie to the whole thing. He was out there doing things, and it was, to me, like, it finishes the whole trilogy perfectly.
Yeah, the hover bike race in the forest.
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh my god! So
that was a great video game too. There was a video game back in the 80s. A lot of quarters on that game.
Yeah, I think the Yoda and the Jedi Temple loosened the restrictions, because obviously he was the only Jedi at that point. So it's like, yeah, you're pretty much a master. They basically said their only requirement, like, look, if you can survive Vader, you're a master, buddy. You won. So,
there is another.
Oh, that's right. There is another.
Set in Empires, which is why it's the best movie.
Empire also did bring in Boba Fett. So
exactly. That also. Thank you, Lawrence. Exactly.
All right. Well, so since Pete dropped some knowledge earlier, and then with his
what is your number 3?
Oh, my number 3. You guys are gonna just be odd, but Force Awakens. Like I said, I was just blown away.
The originals, wow.
I just think the cinematography. I mean, it took Star Wars to another level. Like J.J. Abrams was the perfect guy to bring in, and he just added so many elements. And then it becomes this film where Han Solo dies. You know what I mean? Spoiler. And you're
ruining everything.
I know. I just didn't necessarily see that coming, because I thought they were going to be around for another 3. And so, like, when Han Solo dies, I was like, oh crap, and just, I thought the characters were stronger. I mean, Ben Kenobi was just such a stronger character that struggled so much. And then in the music, I thought the music in Force Awakens was fantastic. And it's so hard on the 9th film or 6th, 7th film, to have a score so original, and that even sounds better than some of the older ones. And I there's so many parts of that film I thought were just absolutely brilliant, and that's why I just put that number 3. Especially again, it's just awesome. So that's my number 3. So I'm gonna give Pete the point on this one again for dropping knowledge, and I did like his explanation on that one. I'm just gonna reel off my 4 through 10, and then I'll just go clockwise.
4 through 10? I thought it was 5.
No, what you guys not?
I only did 5.
Okay, we'll just do 5.
We talked about 5.
Okay, that's fine. So my number 4 and 5, I have Empire Strikes Back number 4, Revenge of the Sith. I had number 5. So Lawrence, what do you have for your 4 and 5?
I did 10, so I'm gonna say I'm all. I took the time.
Just do it.
Took the time. Okay, my number four was Rogue One. It was. I almost put it at number 3.
No explanation. Just reel off.
It fits right then. Okay, Force Awakens number 5, and then here's my bonus here. 6 through 10 is The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clone, and then Phantom Menace is my number 10.
Wow. Okay. Drew, what do you got?
I have Rogue One at number 4. I have The Last Jedi at number 5.
Oh, wow.
Force Awakens at 6. Solo at 7. Rise of Skywalker at 8. Revenge of the Sith at 9. And Phantom Menace barely is not the worst of the bunch, though it should be for the pod race that takes 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Okay, Pete Dog, 4 and 5.
My number 4 was Return of the Jedi, and number 5, Force Awakens.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. All right, guys. Next category is the Oscar goes to, and this goes to a cast or crew member performed the best. Could be the writer, director, actor, cinematographer. Ultimately, what element of the film worked best for you? So, help me out, guys. Who's next? Drew, are you next?
Sure.
No, Drew started the list.
Oh, Drew started the list.
It might be Pete.
Lawrence. No, it should be Lawrence. No, it should be you, Lawrence, because I go counterclockwise.
Okay. Well, my 2 are.
Oh, before we start, so let me tell you what this film actually won the Oscars for, because this sometimes will help eliminate some. So this won 6 Oscars, I believe. One for best art direction and set decoration. John Barry, Norman Reynolds, Leslie Dilley, and Roger Christian. It won for best costume design, John Mallow. One for best sound, Don McDougall, Ray West, Bob Minkler, and Derek Ball. One for best editing, Paul Hirsch, who also has a great book about editing, if you guys want to check that out. Marsha Lucas and Richard Chu. Also one for best visual effects, John Steers. And
John Dyska, Lenny's brother.
Lenny's bro.
John Dykstra. What is that? Oh, for best visual effects. Yeah, John Dykstra, Richard Edlin, Grant McCune, and Robert Blaylock. Also won, of course, best music original score, John Williams. And it also won a Special Achievement Award for Ben Burt for sound effects for the creation of alien creature and robot voices. This was nominated, I didn't know this actually, it was nominated for Best Picture. By the way, it never pubs the fact that this was a Best Picture nominated. Gary Kurtz was the producer. Alec Guinness got nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. George Lucas was nominated for Best Director, and this was also nominated for Best Writing Screenplay, written for this directly for the screen by George Lucas. I actually didn't know all of it, some of those. It was nominated for this many Oscars, so I found that pretty interesting. So, with that, Lawrence, now that you know what it was nominated for, what it actually won, who gets your Oscar for?
I got a couple. Can I give a couple Oscars?
Sure, why not?
I'm a couple. Well,
give a couple, but only give one explanation. And
okay.
This will be a 3-hour podcast.
All right, geez, okay, making me choose here. I'm gonna go with
18-hour podcast.
I'm gonna go.
Lawrence has 7 ideas
with Han Solo, with Mr. Harrison Ford. I just think that he was the man. He's my favorite character in all the Star Wars movies. It does kind of tie in with the fact that he was Indiana Jones, so that time he just ruled that time. Some of the coolest lines, he was the comic relief, he was serious, he had that tough guy role, but obviously he could be, endearing as well. Just the ultimate, kind of like the screw up, but man, you can't not root for that guy. Big heart. And I think he just, to me, is like what made Star Wars fun, because of it being a sci-fi movie, but it had all the elements, and he was able to really pull all of it together. Really, he was the glue of the whole franchise. Because Luke Skywalker was a little whiny at times, but I think Han Solo just, he especially in Empire, man, I think he just carried that. He just was really the guy in that movie. And
even Princess Leia too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they can both be a little pain, but to me, Han Solo was the guy. Harrison Ford, he he was the man back then, and he showed why people were so excited to see him in the movies that just came out not too long ago. So I'm giving it to Han Solo, Harrison Ford.
Awesome. Pete Dog, what do you got?
I know a one for best sound, but I'm going to be a little bit more specific. Is sound design. They had to create so many things that have never been created before because it was an entirely new universe. Not only just with the ships, but with the characters and almost like what's it sound like in space when shit moves. Sound design for me was, outside of the obvious, John Williams, duh. I even think George Lucas should have gotten something just because this is a beautifully shot and well-crafted movie that a director, not many directors can do what he did with this film. But sound design for me is number one.
Yeah, awesome. Drew, what do you got?
Agree with both of those. I was contemplating between Harrison Ford and George Lucas, but I'm going to give it to George Lucas. He's the architect of the entire thing. There's not a piece of this doesn't exist without his writing, directing, hiring of people for all the various roles in the design elements of the film. It's his vision, his baby. He created this universe that we've come to love and adore, and seems crazy that he didn't win something for this film, given the fact that it was nominated for so many of those other sort of the big Oscars that they didn't win any of them.
Yeah, sure.
George Lucas for me.
Yeah, I actually agree with Drew. That's who I had, George Lucas, and the reason why I chose George Lucas. I agree 1,000% with Lawrence and Pete as well. But where the reason why I went with George Lucas myself is because, sometimes as a writer, like we were talking about it earlier about layers, and when he wrote this initial script, it was a 200+ page script, and it was so deep and long, and that's ultimately why it started on episode 4 is because he basically wrote 3 movies in one, and he's also like, this and that, and he went so far, which you just don't typically do. What are you laughing at?
Pete, I knew.
No,
I'm surprised Pete didn't go giggity. I'm surprised Pete didn't say giggity.
Drew was thinking about deep and long, and he started laughing. He's such a child.
I knew Pete was coming with it.
Such a child.
Good job, Pete.
Come on, clean it up, Drew, will you?
Just maybe having the most impactful message of the entire podcast.
Paul was really trying to be serious, and you just had to be juvenile.
Awesome. Well, yes. So ultimately, that because Lucas went so far back, like I said, sometimes directors are just directors, but this guy, like I said, really put in the effort behind the scenes, and his inspirations, Joseph Campbell, and again, the serials, all that stuff, like this, it just goes beyond what a typical creator of a film does. So so I'll give Drew the point here on this one. So I can't read my writing. Lawrence, do you have 3 points or 2 points?
No, Lawrence is 2.
So
track as well.
You can't read your tick marks?
No, I can't. Look, if you look what this, what is this mark? I can't. Oh, you can't even see, huh? Okay. What is that?
Oh man,
what is that? Lawrence, is that a V?
Looks like you had a mild stroke mid rotation.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Draw a hand.
Let me give a point to Lawrence.
I don't know. I must have started writing without me looking or something. I don't know. I don't have any explanation what that is, but
we'll go 2. Let's just we'll go 2.
It is because it was 2. It was 2-2-2. Then Pete scored, and Drew just scored. So it's
3-3-2.
3-3-2. Yeah.
All right. I got some catching up to do.
Well, you're only down by 1. Keep your head in there, buddy. Keep your head in there.
Second half.
Second half. Okay.
You're a closer, Lawrence. You're a closer.
Adjustments.
So our next category is the Get Me Ari Gold Award for different castings. So I'm going to read off a few of the casting notes that I have, and then I'll tell you which ones we'll vote for. Sound fair? So according to an interview with George Lucas, originally Luke was a girl and Han Solo was an alien, and the Wookiees were called Jawas. and R2D2 and C-3PO were called A2 and C3. So I thought that was interesting. Harrison Ford was originally not allowed to audition as he had starred in American Graffiti, which was directed by George Lucas. And Lucas only wanted to use new actors for this. And so, but after Harrison Ford read lines and he realized Ford was the best actor for the part. Robert Englund of Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy. He auditioned for the role of Luke Skywalker, but was turned down. And then he suggested to his roommate, Mark Hamill, that he should try for the part. So I found that. So this one we are going to vote for. So like I mentioned, George Lucas had Han Solo planned to be a huge green skinned monster with no nose and gills. And then he changed the idea of Han Solo to a black human. So he auditioned several black actors and even musicians, including Billy D. Williams, who of course became Lando Calrissian, and then finally settling on Glenn Turman. But then after this, he decided to make the role white. So Kurt Russell, Nick Nolte, Christopher Walken, Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Robert Englund, Sylvester Stallone, John Travolta, James Wood, Perry King were all candidates for the role of Han Solo, excuse me. And then James Caan, I already mentioned Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro, and Burt Reynolds all turned down the role. So, with that, gentlemen, pick your new Han Solo. Obviously, we know Harrison Ford's the best for this. So, if you can't get Han Solo, who is your next one? Any of those names that I just picked, use your script as reference. And we'll start. We started with Lawrence. So, Pete Dog, you're going to pick who is your new Han Solo that's going to carry this franchise, and including, a standalone film called Solo.
I think that this is with that list, the only obvious choice is Kurt Russell, because Kurt Russell only can do action, but he's also very comedic. He's also very sarcastic. All those other actors, there's no way they could have done this role and given it any sort of justice. Kurt Russell, bar none. Thank you. Point, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only because I went first, because I think you guys would have picked the same.
Yeah. Drew, who do you got?
I agree 100%. So, and some of these make me laugh out loud thinking about
Chevy Chase?
Like, I mean, Stallone, James Caan.
My Siri just went off when I said Chevy Chase.
It's very weird.
Because I said Chevy Chase. Are you serious?
There you go.
Okay.
So I agree. Kurt Russell. Should I pick another one just for fun?
It's up to you. I probably wouldn't, because you're not going to win the point as of now.
All right, yeah, I'm going Kurt Russell. It's not close. Like nobody, like all the rest of them are amazing actors, but he's the only one that could come close.
I think if we all agree, there's no reason to give points for this.
No. If we all agree, I don't give a point.
That's kind of unfair.
No, I do. That's what I do, Pete. Let me. Is it okay if I run this podcast?
Hey, Paul, here's what you should do as moderator of this podcast.
Yeah. Lawrence, do you also have Kurt Russell?
Yeah, I mean...
By the way, that's the easy way, Lawrence. Even
that
if you just like, hey, yeah, it's Kurt Russell.
We're all going Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
He just doesn't want me to have a point.
You know what? I think would have been I would probably, if I had to go not Kurt Russell, it would probably be... Oh, man, yeah, some of these are tough. Maybe Nick Nolte? I don't know. I feel like he's funny. I feel like he could be funny, but be kind of a hard ass.
Very angry Han Solo.
Yeah, it's just Kurt Russell's. He's just charisma. It's the charisma.
So the only other guy I had, and I want you to picture this, a stashed Han Solo. But the only other guy, I agree with you, Kurt Russell, although he'd be really young in this, but would be Burt Reynolds. I think Burt Reynolds he'd be a different guy, but I'm with you. Kurt Russell's number one. But the only other guy I think could have that cockiness and also good looking and then have that kind of swagger would be Burt Reynolds. But
I still think he could get through the lines.
I'm with you, Kurt Russell.
Might as well.
I would just picture it from Longest Yard. Like it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, I'm with you. A couple others. Oh, we will do Princess Leia, because I do have a list of that. And then George Lucas originally wanted Orson Welles to do Darth Vader's voice. But decided against it, feeling Welles' voice was too recognizable. And I don't know if you ever heard that story, but Orson Welles did the radio thing, and everyone thought the world was ending. Very famous kind of.
War of the Worlds, right, or whatever.
Yeah, War of the Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Orson Welles.
And then before casting Sir Alec Guinness, George Lucas considered casting Japanese actor Toshiro Mifune. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly.
Love him.
He was actually in Rogue One, right? Wasn't he the one in Rogue One or no?
No, he's so good.
Or was he in?
No,
he was in Seven Samurai.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea.
He might have been.
I think I'm just naming Japanese things now.
I know. Mel Blanc auditioned for C-3PO. Surprised he didn't. He's obviously a great character voice. He did all of like Bugs Bunny, right? That's Mel Blanc. Okay, so to Princess Leia, I'm gonna reel off.
You know who I thought could have been a good Obi-Wan? That's when I thought we were gonna have to name one for all of them. Sean Connery.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Sean Connery could have been good.
Oh.
Sorry, that's an aside. I thought we were trying to recast all.
Let's get off this station, Luke.
He's got the Scottish thing with what's his face? Ewan McGregor, right?
I would have loved it.
Yeah, I like that one, Drew. I like that one. Okay, so for Princess Leia, we got Karen Allen, Nancy Allen, Christine Baranski, Kim Basinger, Bonnie Bedelia, Glenn Close, Gina Davis, Farrah Fawcett, Melanie Griffith, Barbara Hershey, Catherine Hicks, Angelica Houston, Margot Kidder, Kristen Lottie, Jessica Lange, Kay Lenz, Bernadette Peters, Jane Seymour, Sybil Shepherd, PJ Souls, Sissy Spacek, Meryl Streep, Kathleen Turner, Sigourney Weaver, Diane Wiest, Deborah Winger, Linda Blair, Pamela Sue Martin, Teresa Russell, Jill Clayburgh, and Jodie Foster. Also Eve Plum, and that's Marsha, right? Eve Plum.
Marsha. That's Marsha.
So
that would have been awesome.
Drew, you'll start with this one. Who do you have for your Princess Leia?
I mean, I think it's every actress in the history of American cinema that was auditioned for this, so it's kind of hard to choose. I went back and forth. There's a few different ones that I thought, like maybe Kathleen Turner, maybe Gina Davis. Jane Seymour Sneaky was in my list, but I think I come down to Sybil Shepherd. I think like she could pull off sort of that regal look that Leia has, the sultry thing that Leia has as well. She's got a twinkle. I don't know. Carrie Fisher does such a good job. It's hard to imagine anybody else, but for me, I think it's Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah. You basically are looking for a extremely attractive female that's also very strong.
Yeah, commanding.
Yeah,
but also like a femme fatale. Like, yeah.
Sybil Shepherd, really? Okay, go on. All right, Lawrence, how about you, buddy?
Oh man, I also kind of thought Sybil Shepherd, but
what?
Yeah, I've
always liked you, Lawrence.
But I would probably say if it was a go Sybil Shepherd, I like. Oh man, did they say Kirstie Alley? Did we say that?
No,
I did not.
Christine Lottie. On the list. I said Christine Lottie.
Kirstie Alley. That's from Cheers.
Yeah, from Cheers.
Her from Cheers.
And look who's talking.
No, I do like. I would probably say Angelica Houston. I mean, she was. I can't picture not Carrie Fisher. It's just one of those like. I'm trying to think of the times of what they would look like back
podcast. Then. Why don't you just cast a dude.
Meryl Streep. I mean, these are just like. I mean, you're talking about actresses that I probably care less about.
Sybil Shepherd, decidedly not a dude.
Maybe Meryl Streep, just because that's the name I know. Sigourney Weaver. I just couldn't. I don't see Gina Davis. Actually, I do like Gina Davis. I think she's funny. No. She was great in The League of Their Own. I just can't see her being. I don't see any of these people. I mean, these are all horrible choices.
The obvious answer to this ridiculous question is Kim Basinger. I mean, she is not only is like the cutest out of this entire list. I mean, maybe Deborah Winger, like young Deborah Winger, was really attractive.
Yeah.
But Kim Basinger could have.
How old was Kim Basinger in this? Like 14?
I think a lot of them are like 18.
Come on.
Yeah, like I don't know any of these.
Young people. Kim Basinger? Are you serious?
Melanie Griffith,
maybe. See her in Batman?
No, I know. I mean, look. Kim Basinger.
I don't think she can't be commanding. Kim Basinger.
She's the hottest. She didn't have that.
She's attractive, but she's like milk toast and
but she wasn't
whispery.
She wasn't very commanding yet.
Come on.
All right, I'm gonna give Lawrence the point on this one
Houston
because I'm with him.
Wait, time out. You're giving him a point for Angelica Houston?
No. Gina Davis.
Okay.
But no, he said like 5 different things.
That's because I don't like any of these people. I think they're. I mean, we grew up in different.
No, because
different people who I think are like attractive, and none of these.
I think it's Gina Davis.
And Peter, I think you're sleeping on a young Jane Seymour. Have you seen Live and Let Die?
Actually,
I feel like Jane Seymour's a little old.
I pick Deborah Winger over Jane Seymour or Angelica Houston any day of the week.
Well, Angelica Houston.
I like Kirstie Alley. I'd say let's go Kirstie Alley.
Deborah Winger was.
Roseanne.
Good enough for Ted Danson. She's good enough for Luke Skywalker or Han Solo. Yeah. So I think
Jodie Foster.
I think Gina Davis, like I said, especially with A League of Their Own, she is both beautiful and then very strong and commanding. So I'm gonna go with that one. I know Lawrence had 3 other picks, but
here's
if you name them all, you're bound.
I'm gonna
name them all. You're bound to get a point.
This is the beautiful part of this podcast, guys. Is
all right. So we're all tied up at 3, right?
Yeah, we're all tied up at 3.
Well, let's move. Next topic. Let's go.
Next topic. Okay.
Yeah, Lawrence is mad now.
But Lawrence, your first answer is correct. Sybil Shepherd.
I was Sybil. That was my. Yeah. That would have been mine. I didn't want to. We'd all say the same thing again.
So moving on to our next category. It's not your fault. Most powerful scene that gets you emotional. So we started with Drew on that one. So Lawrence, you'll start this one.
Okay. And this is for all the Star Wars movies.
No.
Okay. All right. Oh, then this one would be when Luke Skywalker defeats Darth Vader. No,
he
doesn't.
Beats Darth Vader.
When did he do that?
When did he do that?
For Return of the Star Wars.
New Hope.
I'm thinking like we're doing the whole.
Oh no. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know you're mixed up because we did Young Guns 2. No.
Okay. Well, then my most powerful scene would be when Luke Skywalker watches Obi-Wan get killed. Because I was kind of like, wait a second, isn't this like the main guy? You know, like isn't he part of the main story? And you just killed him off. So.
Well, I mean, he killed him too. He just like disappeared.
Well, I mean, now that we've seen how Force Ghost and all this other stuff kind of plays out, but. I was like, okay, that's the main guy, or that's his teacher. How does he know how to, And I think you just kind of see like Darth Vader is just this guy who just like, he's like unbeatable. He seemed like he was unbeatable. And if this guy can't beat him, what is Luke Skywalker like? What shot does he have? He literally he took one lesson from Obi-Wan Kenobi with the little android thing, so. That was a powerful scene.
The blast shield down, I can't see a thing.
Yeah, with that scene, I just think you kind of felt like, okay, this guy's a beast. Darth Vader's a beast. He just beat the main guy. He just beat the main guy who had the best chance of beating him because obviously Luke was still very green at that time. So that would be mine. But I was kind of thinking we were doing the whole trilogy, so I had. But
it's all good, buddy.
I digress.
You digress for sure. Okay, Pete Dog.
I guess I'm not getting the point on this one. Is what you're trying to tell me?
No, not yet.
I had a great explanation for the other one. I'm just throwing that out there. I kind of came up with this one as well. Just throwing it out.
Yeah, you're good. You're lovely.
I am lovely.
Lovely as always. And your stuff.
Pete, what do you got?
The thing that gets me most emotional is when Han returns, and he comes back after he's already left, and they're going through this stuff. They're going to blow up the Death Star. All is lost. Things are about to end. Luke's about to get killed by Vader. Boom! Here comes Han again, and he's just like, "There you go, kid, and go blow this thing, and let's go home or whatever." And it was the pick me up that I needed from that movie because I thought everything was lost, but Han saves the day. Mm-hmm. As Lawrence said, Han's the reason for this movie.
All of them.
Interesting. Okay, Drew, what do you got?
Both of those are great.
Sad in the movie,
Both of those are great. I will reference another one of them in a different category later. Probably the most powerful scene that gets me every time, no matter how many times I watch it, is kind of the very end. And it's kind of like a couple of scenes, but they're in the hangar after he blows up the Death Star, and everybody's celebrating, hugging. R2's coming down off the thing, and he's kind of blown to smithereens. And that's a little bit of a downer, right? Because like, never thought that I could care so much about a non-human, you know what I mean? Like, he's the best. So, and then straight into the ceremony, the medal ceremony. I get goosebumps every time on the medal ceremony. The music, the walk-in, the kind of like seriousness, but like, smiles that they give each other. So those back to back, that right there is, for me, gets me every time.
Master.
Give him the point.
I think he just stole a point right there.
Just give it to him.
That's good. Yeah, I'll give Drew the point.
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't have a specific one. I think you guys all nailed the main beats. I think it's different every time I watch it. I think sometimes it's when Lawrence is talking about, it's Obi-Wan dying. I think there's other times where it's exactly what Pete talks about. It's when Han Solo comes, and I think for sure it's the medal ceremony. And
the medal ceremony, man. That's with the music. Oh my god, that's tough.
Yeah, and obviously John Williams did such an amazing job. I didn't love the score with the Han Solo part. Like, it's not his best part in the score. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, that's nitpicky a little bit.
Oh, 100%. 1,000%. 100%. I'm just saying he nailed so many points. I don't think he nailed that one, but yeah, it's still one of the greatest.
It's like the greatest novel of all time. And you're like, that one sentence that I didn't.
I know.
Run-on sentence. Needed a comma.
Yeah. Why would they use a comma there?
I hate it when people use adverbs incorrect.
Right? Thank you, Drew.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Saying what I'm thinking.
Okay, awesome. So we're now into our second list, and this is the one we debated and changed. So
we should just burn through it.
Our top 5, don't spend too much long. Our top 5 Star Wars costumes and or characters. And so,
man, that's
was it and or characters? I thought it was just costumes.
So just to be sure, from the entire universe or just from A New Hope?
I'm thinking the universe.
Entire universe. Okay. So we started with who? Lawrence first. Was it Pete?
Oh, okay. Here's my top 5. Starting with number 5, Stormtroopers.
Okay.
Vader. Leia. Give some love to the ladies out there.
There you go.
R2D2, and number 1 is Yoda. I think everyone wants to be Yoda.
Yeah.
Both of my kids were Yoda at some point in their lives.
Nice. Okay, Drew, what do you
have a girl?
I've got, just to be wildly controversial and potentially get beat up, I have Jar Jar at number 5.
Wow.
That's a
wow.
Just as like a
upset alert.
Just as a like people just they'll question you forever.
That's a 16.
I'm making a note.
Number 1
does not get a point here.
How to
only because he had to be mentioned, and of course it's preposterous. So why not? I think I had R2D2. I had Baby Yoda.
Oh,
probably good for like the babies.
He just came back.
Yeah, I was come back.
Darth Vader and number 1 Chewbacca.
Nice, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't put Chewie in mine.
Lawrence, what do you got?
Okay, my number 5 Stormtrooper, like my guy Pete. Number 4 Boba Fett. I was on the Boba Fett train as a child. Like, I was all in on Boba Fett. Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi, all black.
All black, yeah.
Classic, like, I'm a badass.
I number really 2, suck at this list.
Yeah, number 2 is Han Solo, just the OG. The outfit, it was so 70s and like kind of like, but he killed that outfit. And then
with the gun belt down off,
just
off to the side,
slung low,
like a total cowboy, just like a total cowboy, just like,
Hey, you guys are good.
I do stuff. He's like, basically, I do stuff. And then my number 1, Darth Vader, just iconic, man, just iconic. I have the Darth Vader head that held all the pieces in it and everything.
I couldn't put I couldn't put Stormtroopers and Vader up too high because only the rich kids had those outfits for Halloween.
My son was. We had to buy. It was a lot of money. We bought the Darth Vader with the matching lightsaber.
Lawrence is doing quite well.
It's the kids.
What well done, sir.
What are you gonna do?
No joke. I think I'm gonna win this list. But so here's my number 5.
You do say so yourself.
Controversial. I'm going Princess Leia gold bikini. You're showing up to a party. You're showing up to a party in that outfit. You're going home with somebody.
You won the party.
That's a frat boy answer right there.
Yeah. Number 4, I had Chewbacca. Of course, right. Number 3, I had Boba Fett and/or the Mandalorian. I think you're rocking that. You're also crushing it in life. My number 2, and I'm surprised nobody had this, but this is when I saw him on screen for the first time, I was just thought he was a badass. But Darth Maul, I think if there's one redeeming quality about the Phantom Menace, it's Darth Maul and the dual lightsaber and the.
I'm not gonna dress my kid up as somebody who has 5 minutes of screen time.
No,
get the hell out of here.
Said like 2 words, the whole thing.
Who cares? I didn't pick him for his talking. Picked him because of his cool lightsaber. And then number 1, of course, I think it's Yoda. Yoda's Yoda. And so, okay.
That was my number 1, by the way, but there's no way I deserve to win this list.
No, you're not even in consideration. I'm just going to.
Yeah, not even close. It's just so bad.
I need to hear it again. This is Lawrence and Drew are definitely both there. There's some picks I really loved, some picks I didn't. So, Drew, let me hear your list again.
I mean, my first one is pure comedy, pure hate, Jar Jar.
Sure.
So that, then I had R2, Baby Yoda, Darth Vader, and Chewbacca.
Yeah, I love the Baby Yoda one. Lawrence, what's yours?
I am Stormtrooper, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi, all black, gangster style. Han Solo, then Darth Vader is my number 1.
Okay, I'm gonna go Lawrence because of Han Solo and Boba Fett. That
also Luke Skywalker, all black is dope.
No,
so that's
sure.
I give it to Lawrence for sure.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I wish Lawrence had a Yoda somewhere on his list. For me, that would have you could knock off Stormtrooper. If you had Yoda 5, it would have been you'd have crushed.
Yeah, that would have been a no-brainer.
Yeah, but that was
a puppet. He was a puppet. Come on, guys.
So Lawrence, actual 3, right? Not 2 and a squiggly.
No.
Can I get my actual 3 now?
No, Lawrence and Drew have 4. I have 3.
Really? Okay,
yep.
Dude. But
I did get the point by default by naming all the actresses. So that was my 3rd.
Oh, that's right. I didn't mark that one. I didn't mark that.
You got the most ridiculous point of all time. I'm going to pick the worst.
Check the rule book.
That's what makes this great. Okay. Okay, that's that one. Okay, so we're on our last page here. Okay.
Right.
Let's reel through this, guys, and wrap this up. So our next category is Ma the Meatloaf, scene that makes you laugh or feel good. So, again, you can define it however. Obviously, it's not a pure comedy film, but yeah. So, who would you have? Pete started on that last one, so Drew, you're on this one?
Yeah. I'm actually going to switch it up because it was already talked about. I was going to do the feel good when Han shows up out of the clouds and saves Luke at the end, and we all live happily ever after. So I'm going to say funny one is when they're breaking into the prison complex, and he's on the radio and he's trying to stall them. Don't come up, real bad reactor leak.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Here, situation normal.
And then he just shoots the radio finally because he's tired of it, and he's like,
tired of this conversation anyway.
We're all fine here.
Yeah.
We're how are you?
Yeah.
And I love the Family Guy version of that scene too. It's so
good. That's one of the best. That's one of the best scenes ever.
So that one's mine. I love that one.
That's a good one.
Lawrence, what do you got?
That was exactly what I had. I literally wrote down the whole line, all the lines from that scene. That to me is hilarious because I think he ad-libbed that whole scene for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's what made Han Solo the best because he's just such a jackass about it. Nothing to see here. Pretty much nothing to see here.
Bullshitting the whole way.
Well, reactor leak, negative. How are you? Just the way he And he's just kind of like at the end, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to they're coming, guys. Like, they're coming. Like,
yeah,
install them. So to me, that would have been mine. I guess what leads up to that scene is also a funny one where they're trying to hold the trash compactor, and C-3PO's like, oh my God, they're dying. And they're just, they're laughing and stuff. But that was.
Here's my metal body.
Yeah. I like the how are you? How are you? That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
For sure. Pete Dog, what do you got?
I had 3. That was one of them, but they're all Han. All 3 of them are Han. I'm not going to go him chasing after the stormtroopers because it's a little bit too Temple of Doom. You know what I mean? I'm going to go with what always makes me laugh every single time when at the end when he's leaving before the rebellion final strike happens, when Han actually says, "May the Force be with you" to Luke, and he's got that smirk on his face where you can tell he's just not serious about saying "May the Force be with you." It's almost like he's trying to hold in like this laugh, like he's trying to like make amends, but he's like, I can't believe I'm saying this. It always makes me laugh. His face. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch it again. When he says, "May the Force be with you" to Luke, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. Only Harrison Ford could have pulled off that line.
For sure. All right. Yeah, mine, I mean, Drew kind of mentioned it and then jumped off of it, but the last X-Wing scene, again, with when Han Solo comes, I think, again, it's just such a great kind of, makes me feel good, like you're saying. Like, it's Han Solo kind of, his character kind of coming, kind of fully bought into the rebellion, and but I'm going to give Drew the point on this one. I think that's the scene. I mean, he nailed the scene because that
would have been mine. Just like he got to it first.
I mean, that was that was going to be one of my.
I picked the obvious one.
Well, it's the explanation too, Pete.
No, his explanation was spot on. Let's get that right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so next category is line please. So this is a 2-parter. What's your favorite quote? So pretty much like the best quote, and then what's your best underrated quote? And honestly, I struggled with the best quote so much. I had so many underrated quotes.
Yeah, there's so many, and
it was hard to just pick one. But I think that's the underrated quote. I'm looking forward to hearing all that because this is really where this movie shines. Is so many underrated quotes in this one. So
can it be in another language?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Lawrence, you're up on this one.
Well, my favorite quote of the whole Star Wars franchise I want to mention is, because I say this to my wife all the time. She goes, "I love you," and I'm always like, "I know." And she, for years, never knew what that meant, and I had to finally Google, like, YouTube the scene. But my favorite from the movie Star Wars, the OG, is "Stay on target," because the guy repeats it like so many times. And it's funny because I remember football practice, high school, we'd have to run these gassers, right? And me and this other guy would always, when we were running, gassers back and forth, we'd always just be like, "Stay on target," just because we were like dying. But like that was like the way that we just laughed about it so much, because we were just like, just get this done, just stay on target, like almost there, stay on target. And we would just say that back and forth to each other. So shout out to my boy Sean if he's watching this. He knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's my favorite Star Wars quote from the
I didn't play football, so gasser was usually me because I was so gassy. I was one that gassed.
Yeah. Pete and I would always say that
stay on target.
Stay on target. Stay on target. Hey, by the way, so let's do all of our favorite one first, then underrated we'll do second. So Pete, just give your favorite one first.
Well, I mean, the best quote is it's not "May the Force be with you," even though that's like the most popular one. But I love when Obi-Wan says it to Luke, and he's like, "The Force will be with you always." Mm-hmm. He just adds that little bit at the end there. Always. It just makes it more powerful.
And your British accent,
that British accent is just incredible.
No, but your British accent's on point tonight.
On point,
really good.
The Force will be with you always.
Yeah, I mean it's like
good, right?
Yeah,
it's all right.
That's pretty good.
Like King Henry VIII is right now. Okay, Drew, what do you got?
Man.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Oh, Drew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Pete, you actually had the point.
Yeah.
Fun fact, guys. You know what I wrote for my quote in the yearbook? what Drew just said. I totally forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Drew's gonna get that point.
Should I do my impression to impress Lawrence?
Nope, dude, Pete,
If
no
you
joke.
struck me down a bit more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah. No, Pete, you had the point. I totally forgot about that line. Because that is the best quote.
You gave it to Drew though, right?
Yeah, Drew got that point. So it's Pete 3, Drew 5.
No, Drew 6.
Drew 6. Oh, I did write an 6 there. Yeah. Drew 6, Lawrence 4. Okay, so now it's underrated quote. So just again, throwaway line, whatever it is, but this is just like the sneaky good line. So Lawrence started that one. So Pete, you're going to start with this one.
There's just so many.
So many.
I think the one that we always said, not just as kids, but as adults, even to this day, is "You'll be dead." Because it's like that. It was always the response, even if it didn't even make any sense. It's like I'll be careful. You'll be dead. It's just
the guy in the bar.
Immediate responses that you just say to people.
Pig nose or something like that.
What's that?
What's his name? Pig nose or
pig? Yeah,
he doesn't like you. I don't like you either. That one. That guy.
I don't
know. Lawrence, you sounded just like him.
12 systems.
Yeah, that was really good, Lauren.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's mine. You'll be dead.
Nice. Drew, what do you got?
God, there's a lot. Anytime Han starts to say your worshipfulness, I laugh out loud.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna actually shout out Leia. Also in the prison complex scene, somebody has to save our skins into the garbage chute, Flyboy. I love that quote.
Nice. Lawrence, what do you got?
Mine goes back to what we just talked about as far as Meatloaf's scene is situation normal, slight weapons malfunction. We're all fine here. How are you? How are you? I think that to me is like the greatest, at least for that part of that movie, because it's so funny and it's so Han Solo and it's so Harrison Ford. Like it's literally like that's like I said, it's the seriousness of the movie with like that comedic touch that just like comes at the right time because it's so like intense and it's like the stormtroopers are like knocking at the door and he's just kind of like, fuck it, let's just go, like we gotta go. Basically. So that's my favorite under. I think Han Solo pretty much has all the greatest lines of this movie.
By the way, my favorite non-English quote is
so
anyways good. What's yours, Paul?
Guys, can you guess what mine is?
Yours is I find your lack of faith disturbing.
No, that one's good, but no, be more observant.
Look, sir, droids.
There you go. Yeah, that is my favorite quote because it's so. I mean, they make fun of it in Family Guy too.
So bad.
It's this guy just pops out of nowhere and he just like, look, sir, droids, and he's just.
But then he stands there for like 7 seconds, like just doing this.
Is that when they were combing the desert?
Yeah.
Yes, like in Spaceball. Yeah. We ain't found shit.
That's the greatest line of Star Wars.
It's like the best line ever.
That's
the greatest line of all Star Wars.
That little comb. That little Questlove comb.
Yeah.
All natural fit.
That one's so good. I want to give the point to Lawrence on that one. Again, that scene's just so great.
What? Better than You'll Be Dead?
It was close. You were right there.
You'll be dead.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly, Lauren gets the point too for his impression of your quote.
I don't like it either. Yeah, I nailed that one.
Does he get 2 points?
No, just one.
He's up to 6?
No, it's Drew 6, Lawrence 5, you 3.
There you go.
I'm out of this one. You're cross off my list of what we're going to review next.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Next category is a new category, so I don't know. Hopefully, you guys prepared for this one, but it's called Great Shot from the great Scott from Back to the Future. But this is your favorite shot in the film. So again, this is a two-parter. Number one, what is the best shot in the film? And then second part, what is another kind of underrated camera move? Or again, I want to highlight the cinematography in this film. So we start with Pete on that one. So Drew, give us the best shot first, and then we'll do a round for a second point. So.
Okay, so separate out the second one until after we all go around.
Yeah, so just give your best shot first. And
best shot, and it is actually a shot. It's not computer generated. It is the opening scroll. It's one of those things, grabs you by the throat. You can't look away. Oh my God, with the music and it just so iconic. They actually had to like film it with a camera because the technology, to me, it's that. I mean, it's just that there is that is Star Wars.
That's bold. I like that. I like that, Drew. Bold like Star Wars beginning. I like it. Lawrence, what do you got?
I would say my greatest shot, the greatest shot I like is and we mentioned this earlier, was the shot when they were doing the awards ceremony, and it's just like it shows kind of up top, and it shows like kind of all the main characters presented, and obviously with R2 walking in, all cleaned up, fixed. But I think that because the music hits like right when that shot is shown, and it's just like the symmetry of how everyone's lined up, and you kind of see like this is like it's Princess Leia and her soldiers or castle, or it's like it's almost like set in like as a medieval times movie with how it's just lined up perfectly, and the award ceremony with the music hitting, to me was just great because it just shows like it's almost like they're taking their bow, right? Like if it's a play, like here's the cast and it ends perfectly on that spot for me.
Well, and I'll even go a step further, Lawrence, and I don't think I would say this in 1977, but now when you understand the totality of all the different episodes and especially the prequels, and you understand in Rogue One and Andor, and you realize where the rebellion was and then where they are after the first Star Wars, that ceremony really is such a big deal for the inspiration, for the hope. And like it's the first we're trying to take this back, you know what I mean? And again, like this is why I love Rogue One, because all we have is hope, right? Like that line that the lady says, I forget her name off the top of my head.
The lady.
The lady?
Yeah, the lady.
The lead character in Rogue One. But she's actually Andor. Cassian says it first, and then she repeats it. But rebellions are built on hope, right? And so, like you're saying, like after this huge victory, again, we don't know this at the time, but we don't realize how really low the rebellion really was, and really, it was Rocky beating Apollo, or Rocky tying Apollo, even, right? Like that's how big of a victory this was, destroying the.
Yes, I understand that, but it's also like, do you really start popping champagne bottles when you win the play-in game to get into the final tournament? You know what I mean? Like there's so much more to go. Like
I know, but
they're giving awards for something, and there's still like all of this shit.
And they blew up the Death Star. I mean, at the time, they're thinking like that we won. Like that's the big bad was the Death Star.
It's a 16 seed being a number one. And yeah, you pop champagne on that. Don't get me wrong, the journey's not over, but yeah, you're gonna celebrate a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe, but I mean, awards and medals and shit, and a whole like.
Pete, how many rebellions have you won?
Plenty.
Okay.
I'm married with 2 kids. I have won.
That's why you have no awards. So Chewbacca right now with no awards.
Others don't win awards. We just do.
Okay.
No try do.
So Pete, you're up. Yeah, Pete, you're up.
The best scene, the best shot is the composition of the Vader Obi-Wan duel. I mean, just the way it, specifically, if you want to get specific, when Luke first sees them and they're about to duel, but it's encompassed by that one little door, and they get stormtrooper. I mean, it's just beautifully done. And then if you want to expand on that, just the choreography and the shots, the composition of the actual duel itself is brilliant. It's gorgeous. Yeah. It's a beautiful scene.
So mine, and surprised you didn't go with this, I actually love the shot that's behind you, Pete. It's when he's just kind of sitting out there and he's looking out into the
that's classic.
The music's kicking in, and John Williams and what's the Family Guy quote? Yeah. John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra. But But it's again kind of just setting the premise of how big this universe is and what's out there, and of course they copied that in Last Jedi. But it's him really yearning to be something bigger than what he's been shown his whole life, and that's it.
Spoiler, this is my underrated shot, and that's the reason why I put it there, because this is the moment where Luke decides for himself that he's going to go on this adventure and on this journey, and there's so much riding on this specific moment. This is where it all begins. Not everything that happened before. Like this is where Star Wars really begins, and it's beautifully composited, beautifully shot. Music comes in on a swell. This is my underrated,
because he doesn't want to wait.
I don't think people realize how significant this shot is for the film and for the franchise, to be honest.
100%. That's why I think it's the best shot. And he doesn't want to wait another season. He does. He has to go to the Tachi Station to pick up some power converters, of course. But
he's gonna do it.
But he also he wants to join. He wants to join the Galactic Empire like all of his friends are. He doesn't want to spend another season on the farm. You know what I mean? So those are all big decisions that he can make. But
Colin doesn't get it.
It's he doesn't know it, but he's also fulfilling his destiny, right? Like his father is Darth Vader. He doesn't know at this time, but that's why he inherently wants to do all this stuff, because it's in his.
And Obi-Wan, I mean, that wizard's just a crazy old fool.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, if you forecast looking at the Boba Fett series, you find out that Luke Skywalker's racist towards Sand people, because we saw their story.
Yeah, we all are.
Well, Anakin's slaughtered him because they killed his mom. So,
well, I mean, he had a reason, but I mean,
all right.
So
I gave
Uncle Owen. I'm just saying, Uncle Owen.
I give my underrated shot. So, what are theirs?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna give a point first. So, Pete, I actually like your shot. I like your shot the most. Like, I loved your explanation the best. But I think Drew kind of came in hard. Like that's I didn't. That's outside the box thinking. I really like what Drew said. So I'm gonna give him a point on that.
Running away with it.
Yeah, it's 7-5. There's still points. Pete, you're out of it officially, but
I think I'm officially been eliminated from playoff contention.
Okay, so underrated shot. Drew, you're going to start with this one.
No,
I'm sorry. No. Sorry, Lawrence starts with this one.
Okay, my underrated shot to me, and this is what I found probably the coolest as a kid, was when they are fleeing the Death Star, and they're like, it's not over yet, kid. And he has to, and Luke climbs down, and then Han climbs up into like those like fighting pod, like the gunner seat. I thought that was so cool, because I was literally like, this would be the coolest thing ever as a kid, thinking like you're literally battling in space, like a spaceship battle, and just like I mean, looking from the first Star Wars to Return of the Jedi, obviously. It doesn't hold up, next to that one, but just to see that at that time and that moment was awesome. And the way he kind of, I really felt like there was like a real Millennium Falcon. I mean, when I went to Disneyland and saw like the life-size version of it, I really felt like this was like a real ship. Like you could really see the ship, and you can climb down and be in there. And I like the way he kind of like looks down is like, and he's like, he gets all excited about, taking out a couple TIE fighters.
Yeah, it produced one of the classic lines.
Yeah, so to me that was like an underrated shot, because like I said, it really felt like I was really flying with them, like I was in that ship with them, like kind of taking on the whole empire there.
No, I love it.
That's great, Lawrence. Don't get cocky.
Nice, Pete.
Thank you.
What do you got?
Me? I already told you my underrated one. I don't think people understand the significance of this scene.
No, that's true.
Drew, what about you, buddy?
I don't know if it's underrated, but for me, the scene that I don't think gets talked about a ton, or the shot I should say, is when Darth Vader and the stormtroopers, the opening scene where they're attacking the ship and all the smoke and everything, and then he comes through the doorway and through the cloud of smoke, and you see Darth Vader. Like, because we've all seen it so many times, we forget. Like when you see that for the first time, oh my God, what is this creature?
I gotta mess
coming in out of the smoke, and hear the breathing. Like for me, that shot it sets such a tone.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Drew's killing it tonight.
Yeah, but Pete, I'm actually going to give you the point on this one, only because I loved your explanation of it, and you had a good quote after Lawrence's, so I'm going to give you the point for that one.
I got 4.
You got 4, yeah.
You're in comparison, Drew has 7 and Lawrence has 5, so I'm way out of this.
And we still have 2 more points left, so Lawrence is still in this. I
could pass Lawrence potentially.
Our last category before we go to our last list. Our last category is director's chair. This is going to be tough, but gentlemen, what would you change about this film? So, Pete Dog, we're going to start with you because we started with Lawrence.
Yeah, this is tough. There's not a lot that I would change from this film. It's iconic. It's a legendary film. Why would you change anything from it? It's perfect. I think the thing that always bugged me was when Obi-Wan's trying to turn off the tractor beam, and he distracts the stormtroopers. Like, they just kind of turn their heads and he starts walking, but then they turn their heads back to where they're like in their peripherals, they would have seen him. And then he kind of like walks away, but then he stops and turns around and looks at them again. And then he walks off again. I don't know. There's just that one little moment where I just wish that maybe they would have left the room, or maybe they didn't turn around because of the noise. I just didn't believe. I never believed, even after the first time I saw it, that they didn't see Obi-Wan sneaking away.
Yeah, I get
Jedi mind trick.
I know, and I've justified that in my mind that he made them think that he wasn't there, like he was invisible.
They're not the droids.
Yeah, but they didn't set that. They didn't set that up though.
Yeah, you have to set up that power.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just. I mean,
I agree. That's a good.
We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah, we're definitely splitting hairs. Okay, Drew, what do you got?
Similarly, not a ton I would change. It's amazing, phenomenal. All the superlatives we can give. The one thing that one of the things that I always thought was strange was it felt like Luke did not mourn the death of his aunt and uncle enough. It's just kind of like he sees their like charred corpses and he's like, all right, I guess we're going to Mos Eisley. And it seems like
I can be a pilot now.
Yeah,
his racist uncle of the Sand People.
My annoying uncle won't make me work another harvest now. Thank God he's dead. And he mourned Obi-Wan in a way more than his aunt and uncle that he, kind of raised him because his dad was Darth Vader. So
3 days ago,
a small thing, and maybe it wasn't very intentional. But for me, it just always felt strange how little he mourned his aunt.
I like that, because the truth of the matter is, if that's made today, I think you're right. I think they're, you look at like Batman or things like that, like the death of his mother and father,
but it was just the aunt and uncle. I mean, come on.
No, but he doesn't even know his father. He's raised by them.
They raised him.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Drew. I never even thought about that, but that's an interesting point. Lawrence, what do you got?
Drew with his good idea.
I think I would I would like to add something, and that would be more lightsaber battle. I don't think
I thought you were going to say more cowbell.
More cowbell and lightsaber. I just think that was the coolest weapon, right? Like ever. Like you said, as a kid, you're playing lightsabers, and you really only get
Spoiler alert: Lawrence gets the point. I love that idea.
Yeah, Lawrence, that's a great.
You get the Luke training, but then come on, Obi-Wan's his skills were gone. I mean, he was just, it was just like
You're 100% right, especially like when you watch like the newer ones, right? Like
you're just like, man, these guys are blocking lasers and doing, they're throwing it in boomerang shots and all kinds of stuff. So I wish they would have had more lightsaber. Obviously, as the movies go on, they use a lot more.
Simple,
but I mean,
so simple yet so brilliant.
That lightsaber, man, like,
good
job. I have one right here. Around my kids.
Drew, I thought you had it.
Drew did have it. Drew, yeah, that was a Hail Mary by Lawrence that came down.
And it worked out. He's the Doug Flutie of podcasts.
Exactly. No, I couldn't say that better. So mine, I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier, again, kind of nitpicking, but the special edition was so good in so many different arenas. But then again, we kind of just saw the the degradation of where like the prequels will go, where it's like, hey, let me rely on more computer technology, and instead of just having a simple concept, let me go too far. And again, that little animal, it could have just simply walked, and it could have just been a nice addition to the scene,
Sure.
and it was just so overused, and it just again,
it's like a brilliant low budget horror movie that just kills because it's amazing, and then the next version of it is so heavily CGI that you just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Bad blood spurting, it was just so that would have been my thing, is just again
that's a good one.
Play the game within your budget, and again just so awesome. So like I already mentioned, Lawrence, you got the point on that one. So we're down to our final list here. It is Drew 7, Lawrence 6, Pete 4. Thanks for participating, Pete. You're getting a lovely ribbon. Probably one of the, you're getting Chewbacca's medal.
He's getting a top draft pick next year. So
you're getting a top draft.
Give me a medal before we're about to go to real war.
So okay, last topic here, guys. Top 5 science fiction movies. And honestly, if it's on any list that says science fiction, I guess it's eligible. But this is tough, of course. But so who started with director? Did Pete? Did you start with director?
I did not start with director.
No, you did, because Drew went second, and then Lawrence went third. So so Drew, you're up. Or am I wrong or no?
No, you're right.
No, I think you're right. These are always hard. So how do you distill this down? What is science fiction? How do I get it down to 5? Do I love the ones from my childhood more than some of the iconic ones that I know are works of art? And so anyway, all those things that you guys, I'm sure, struggled with. So number 5 top science fiction movie for me is Back to the Future. Number 4, I wavered, but I won't give away, because are we doing honorable mentions?
Yeah,
not yet.
Okay. Not yet,
but we are going to do it. Okay.
Afterwards,
I'm going to go Jurassic Park, number 4. 2001: A Space Odyssey, number 3.
I knew that was going to be on your list.
Blade Runner, number 2.
Yeah.
Another Harrison Ford. And I have
6 Days, 7.
Empire Strikes Back is my number 1.
Nice. Or Star Wars. You can group Star Wars. So, okay, awesome. That's a good list. Lawrence, what do you got?
Okay, mine's a little. I mean, mine is more sci-fi. It's more spaceships and aliens and the whole kind of when I kind of think sci-fi traditional. So my number 5 is The Fifth Element. I just think it's a great movie. Bruce Willis is awesome, and Chris Tucker is actually really funny in that movie.
Yeah, I gotta check that one out. I don't know if I've fully seen that.
Dude, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie, but number 5.
If we're talking like pure sci, I mean, I could go any sci. I mean, then like you said, we can go all kinds of. I can go Inception, right? Is a sci-fi movie, but I'm going kind of campy sci-fi movies. And then my number 4 is, these are fun sci-fi movies, I should say. Men in Black. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think Will Smith is funny. I think Tommy Lee Jones totally they play off each other perfectly. It's just a great, like, fun alien, like I said, aliens and spaceships and that whole kind of, when I think of sci-fi. Next is Independence Day.
Well, hold on one second. I think Men in Black, it actually changed the genre of science fiction. It actually added this element
comedy,
of real comedy to the genre that I don't think was really explored before. That's a good pick. Sorry.
No problem. Hey, Independence Day, I like it. Will Smith was the man back then, right? I mean, he was knocking out $100 million movies or whatever it was, that streak that he had. Great movie.
Bill Pullman is the president.
Bill Pullman as the president. Great speech, right? Number 2, Aliens, right? The second one. The second one.
That's the James Cameron one, right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I love that. It's one of those movies that if I kind of catch it on TV, I'll just finish it.
His last great movie.
It was a great movie, and it's kind of a spooky. It's a scary one, right? Like it's kind of a scary one. And then number 1, I mean, we're talking about it now is obviously the Star Wars franchise, but Star Wars as a whole is it's the one, right? Like it can't not be the one.
Yeah.
It kind of started what we all enjoy as far as sci-fi to this day.
Yeah. So I mean, the big question here, guys, is Pete gonna not include Star Wars, or is he gonna include Star Wars? Because Pete sometimes just likes to omit the big hitters, and so I'm very curious. I'm not gonna lie, guys. We're at the edge of our seats here. BCS champion here.
For my top 5 science fiction movies, I decided for the purpose of this podcast to leave off the Star Wars franchise.
I left the top 5 best ones.
I wanted to leave off Star Wars because it's the obvious number 1 science fiction film of all time. So I decided to kind of just not leave it on there. Yeah. So I went with the great movies that I love as a top 5. Number 5 for me is a movie that I don't think a lot of people have seen, but it's brilliant and it's so good. And Lawrence Fishburne is amazing in this. It's Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, that's a great.
It's just
which one?
It's so scary. It's like really scary.
Horizon.
Oh, did you say Deepwater Horizon?
No, Event Horizon. It's one of the most frightening movies that I've ever seen.
A shark ate me.
Not Deep Blue Sea.
Not Deep Blue Sea.
I'm not talking about that.
Deepwater Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Oh, Event Horizon. What Deepwater?
Sam. What's the name's in it? It's a scary movie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Movie.
It's a frightening movie, and it's really well done, and it's visually, it's beautiful, but it's fucking scary, and it's really good. That's my number 5. Number 4 for me is Interstellar.
Ah, yeah, so good.
I can't get enough of that movie.
I just watched it the other day. It's so fucking good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Number 3, I put Back to the Future because I can't not have it on my list.
Yeah.
Number 2, The Matrix. I think it just the first one.
About The Matrix. Yeah.
Just the first one. We can forget about the other 3. First Matrix was revolutionary, and it just blew up, and it was amazing. Number 1 for me is E.T. I mean, for me, E.T. was like one of the greatest movies of all time, and it just speaks to me personally.
You'll
put
I love it. E.T. on your list, but Star Wars not. I don't necessarily understand the logic there, but
say again.
You can put E.T. on there, but you can't put Star Wars on there. I don't know
because Star Wars is like this huge.
So it's too good,
juggernaut.
It's too good.
E.T. is one story, one movie that surpasses every other story ever told outside of the Star Wars universe.
He was in Star Wars, by the way.
Yeah. All right. So, I went back and forth on a lot of these. And I did have Back to the Future on my list, and I decided to throw it out just because it's the least science fiction-y movie out of all of them. Yes, it's science fiction, but...
time travel is not real.
Well, we can argue that. But anyways...
I disagree.
I threw it out. I agree. It is a science fiction film, but there's a part of me that agrees with Lawrence where it's just like there's this old school science fiction feeling that I want out of these films. And so my number 5, it's not necessarily my favorite film, but it's you kind of have to have it on this list if you want to be considered a film savant, and it's 2001: A Space Odyssey. And so Drew had that on his list. And that's just like the film that kind of said all. The music in that's incredible, obviously, and it's Kubrick.
Yeah, the music's good.
Yeah. My number 4, and this is just
the atmosphere, Pete.
This is a sneaky good film that
watch nothing move for like 10 minutes, and then like, oh man, the music's really great while I'm looking at nothing happening.
My number 4, I'm on my list, Pete, here.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not how you get a point. My number 4 pick in this movie was so sneaky good, and I think it just introduced the world to, or especially today, this next director, and it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who also did the new Blade Runner, but it's Arrival, and it's one of the best scripts that I've read. The music, again, this movie comes in hot with this music and this story.
Arrival's so good.
I didn't even know I was watching a science fiction film, and then it just kind of took it to a whole nother level.
It was really marketed brilliantly because you went into it thinking it was something, and then it turned.
You thought it was like an alien film, but then
turned out to be something completely different. Yeah.
So deep, way more deeper than that.
Great pick.
My number three, shocked nobody had this, but Terminator 2.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you guys think androids coming back from the future to kill someone in the present
Is
is
that really sci-fi though? I'm just kidding.
yeah. Apparently people
But really,
androids coming back.
I think that's more science nonfiction.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a coming of age film, actually.
Oh wait, that was my number. Oh, I skipped one. My number three. I'm sorry. Great job in the graphics here now. My number three was Interstellar. I agree with Pete. Just this movie's just better and better every single time I watch it.
Every time you see it, it gets better.
Christopher Nolan is just a genius.
One of the premier directors.
Side of the Mississippi. Terminator 2 is number two, and of course number one is Star Wars. I mean, I don't care how big it is. Like, you can't not put it number one. And
yeah, it's so boring to have every list be like, yeah, Star Wars is number one.
Well, that's why you
yeah, no shit.
You fluff it up with the other four, and you make it so good. So,
Return of Khan, Star Trek.
Come on, Event Horizon. That's a killer pick.
Everybody, just give three honorable mentions, so we're not here forever. But so my honorable mention, and the one I really wanted to try and include on this list, but it's just asinine to do it, was The Last Starfighter.
I said that. I was gonna put that on my top five. I thought no one would.
I wanted that number 5 so bad. I love that film. I love the music. Like, this movie's
that movie's so great.
Movie's so fucking good, and I wanted that movie. I had Men in Black as well. I mean, you got to kind of shout out Star Trek, although I think the TV series probably is better than the movies. But I had Back to the Future, and then Matrix was one I really struggled with. Independence Day, and then Transformers is the first.
I wasn't ever. I've never been into the Transformer movies.
The first Transformer film, because I love Michael Bay. I love the cinematography of the Transformers, the music, the action. I mean, that's a property, and you saw later on, like, it can easily be so poorly done. But
yeah, I mean, that's an example of a franchise going down as opposed to Star Wars that was that way. You know.
100%. Pete, what else do you
have? For me, I mean, what you guys have already rattled off is obviously those are all the best picks. Anything left over that I would give recognition to are 3 movies. I mean, Lawrence mentioned Inception. I mean, I think that was a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
I thought Minority Report was incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
And Edge of Tomorrow. Nobody likes Edge of Tomorrow except for me. I think Edge of Tomorrow is one of the better science fiction films that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so funny, but it's really well done.
Yeah, I like Minority Report more, but yeah, it's good.
And also I like to honorable mention Star Wars. It was a really good film.
You should, yeah. Since they make your top 5, you should honorable mention.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, what you got?
I had RoboCop.
Oh, nice.
Which I really liked. To me, it was kind of in the vein of like T2, like that whole era, but kind of sort of like on the leading edge of like talking about Detroit's demise and things like that. But anyway, so I like RoboCop a lot. From a film class in college, shout out you guys, you film critics out there. Legette. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like a 26-minute French film that was kind of like 12 Monkeys was essentially based on it.
Oh, okay. 12 Monkeys.
It's about like World War III. It's World War III. Like, the film is entirely photographs, like, pieced together. It's very short. It's a short film. It's pretty amazing. And then I was struggling to come up with a third one. There's so many, but I was gonna. I don't even know. I will leave it at that with those 2, I think.
Oh, but that short film, can you chat me how to spell that, please?
Yes, I will. Actually, I'll do a very recent film that I liked a lot, District 9.
Oh, nice. Drew, if you can comment to this YouTube video with that name of that film, help out all the viewers.
Help out our viewers.
Yeah.
You got it.
I know for a fact the editor is not going to do the research.
And I know for a fact the co-host is not going to do any research on that at all.
Nor will he help out with marketing or anything like that.
Editing.
Yeah.
Show ideas.
Yeah, anything. Lawrence, what do you got?
Well, I actually kind of mentioned all of them, but Last Starfighter was one. That was going to be one of my fun ones. District 9. District 9 is an awesome movie. I was I've been waiting for a sequel for like 20 years now. I don't know how long that's been. I think it came out in 2009. This is
Keep holding out, Lawrence. Don't give up.
A deep cut. Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
80s movie. It's a fun movie.
That is.
It's childhood for me, so that was my
I just watched that one recently. That one's awesome. It's on Disney Plus.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
That one's awesome. So, Jessica Parker's in that one. That one's awesome.
And you get introduced to Twisted Sister because of that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Time travel.
Because we're not going to take it anyway. Yeah, good job. All right, guys. Well, good job. Drew is.
Who got that one?
Drew
who got that one again?
Who did I say?
It was.
Who'd you give that point to?
I don't know if you gave that point to anybody else.
Actually, I think I gave it to Lawrence. Did it? Did you tie
it? You gave it to Lawrence, then that's a tie.
Oh, crap. Give me your list again real quick.
I will go. It is Fifth Element, MIB, Independence Day, Aliens, and Star Wars.
Yeah, Lawrence was Lawrence. I like Lawrence's Men in Black, Men in Black, and Aliens. I'm not even a big Aliens fan, but it's just kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Well, then, can you two decide on a movie? What do you guys want to do together? I think you guys are a good team.
Yeah.
Sure. Lawrence, do you have any ideas?
Start throwing some shit out.
Are we talking older, newer? I mean,
whatever you want.
We're talking big SEO, so like popular movies. So don't pick something that's got a fan base to it. You know what I mean?
Don't pick that
one. Do you guys already have people lined up for Pulp Fiction?
I love Pulp Fiction.
No, we can do Pulp Fiction. I'm down for Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction for sure.
I'm a big gangster mafia movie guy. Also, the Casinos, Goodfellas. That's just those are classics for me.
We can do Goodfellas too.
Yeah, that's just those. I like those are one of those like stop and watch movies for me. Shawshank. Everyone loves Shawshank. It's a great movie.
Shawshank too. Yeah. All right, so let's stay to those three. So you have Shawshank, you have Pulp Fiction, and you have Goodfellas.
Mm-hmm. Oof. Yeah, I mean, just pick one.
I think we talked about Stand By Me a while ago too. I love that movie as well. But
okay, well, I mean, Lawrence, you won. So, actually, no.
No, you guys are tied.
You guys are tied. So, Drew, do you want to pick from those four?
I like Pulp. If he likes Pulp Fiction, I love Pulp Fiction. I love that movie. If we're trying to pick something that kind of like both really into.
I'm good with Pulp Fiction if you guys are.
All right, let's do Pulp Fiction. We'll do Pulp Fiction.
It's going to be our first Tarantino review. I can't wait. I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I can't wait to talk about this film.
I love I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the most. I mean, that's probably my favorite Tarantino film, but we'll get to that soon.
I love Inglourious Bastards.
My OCD says we can start with Reservoir Dogs, but it's okay.
No,
start with Pulp Fiction.
No, that's okay. We'll do Pulp Fiction because Pulp Fiction is what elevated him.
Good.
So. All right, awesome. So we'll be.
Can't wait. Good job, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Make sure if you're listening to us podcast, if you're listening on your favorite podcast, we're on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, all your favorite podcasts. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you are watching us on YouTube, please make sure you also comment below on a film you'd like to see. And again, if you haven't checked these fellas out,
smash the like button.
Yeah, Lawrence is on Young Guns and Young Guns 1 and 2, Part 1 and Part 2. And then he's also on Indiana Jones, and you can catch Drew on our Jaws podcast, which I think is our number one podcast, actually, guys. Yeah, it's our most downloaded podcast.
It's all Drew.
Yeah, so good job, everybody, and thanks again. Appreciate you guys. And with that is a cut.
Good job, Lawrence. Glad to share the title with you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.